So if you are looking into the Airbnb space and you're trying to learn exactly how to go about getting your first property, I'm gonna go over exactly how I would find and get a property for Airbnb with $0 down. And this is what most people never talk about when it comes to this industry. The thing is that most people feel like giving out this information is gonna hurt them, when the reality is this industry is growing at such a large pace, but consistently, right? But there's so much opportunity in different sectors in this industry that there's a lane for everybody, right? So I'm gonna go over this step by step with you guys and show you exactly how I've done it, how a lot of my students and clients have done it, and exactly how you can do it without any money. And of course, having money is a benefit and a bonus, but there are ways for you to get into this industry and start generating capital, not having to have thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it. All right, so if we look at the screen, I'm gonna go over, like I said, how I would find and get a property for Airbnb with $0 down, okay? Most Airbnb gurus never talk about this, and the main reason why is because they feel like they are creating competition for themselves. In reality, that is not the case, okay? So step by step, this is exactly what I would do right now with $0 if I had nothing to my name and I had nothing but a computer, Wi-Fi, and some time on my hands, okay? You know, myself, I've been able to take this thing from 0 to 100. A lot of my clients, a lot of my students started at absolutely nothing, no experience, no information, no money. We were able to turn nothing into something with these exact strategies here, okay? So the truth that nobody tells you about is that you don't need to own a property or even sublease property to generate capital in this market, okay? You don't need to own property, don't need a sublease. The people making the most money here started with almost nothing, okay? Most people that started in this industry, they didn't have anything. They didn't have property. They didn't have someone, you know, hand them over a property. They didn't have tons of cash or tons of money on hand ready to go. For example, David, right? David was actually in an old company of mine that actually got shut down and kind of went left. And he was kind of on edge with doing anything in relation to money online, right? Or, you know, coaching or anything like that. And, you know, we were able to get him started. And with $0 out of pocket, he was able to get his first property up and running in the first 45 days. I told him that on average it takes up to 90 days, but he got started and we got him set up, fully furnished, up and operating in 45 days. He now is on his second unit in the same area, which is doing very well for him. Alejandro had bad credit. He's at 9 units now in just under 3 years. And then Lucas is one of my most successful clients. He was at, you know, about 2 to 3 grand a month from his military pension and things like that. He was working TSA full time. And, you know, now his highest month has been over 100 grand, right? He now has over 13 properties in, you know, the northeastern region of the United States, and he's doing very well, right? Him, Alejandro, Alex, a lot of these guys are doing very well. They're touching 6 figures in profit yearly, and that's just really, really good to see. And the crazy thing is about all of this is that they all started exactly where you are right now, with no property, possibly no money, possibly even bad credit or good credit, whatever the case is, but they all started just like where you're at. None of them own property, right? None of them had a perfect situation. All of them just got started. A lot of them were on edge, obviously, because you're jumping into a new space, and you're jumping into a space where you have no knowledge. You have no prior knowledge of what this space holds and what you can actually accomplish in the space, and you don't have anyone to guide you or show you what's possible. That's where I come in, right? That's where I was able to bless and show them exactly what to do. None of them had the perfect situation. All of them just got the ball rolling and just got started. Now, the problem is not money. It's the strategy, right? If you don't know what you're doing, you could have all the money in the world, but if you don't know what to do with it and how to allocate it and how to do it the right way, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually see results in any industry, not just real estate, not just Airbnb, any industry. If you don't have a good strategy, it's really difficult to see results, right? So here's exactly what I would do starting today. There's 3 ways that you can get a property without owning it. And I would want you to choose your starting point, right? All 3 of them have worked for different clients. The thing is, you, me, Lucas, all these other people are all in different startup situations. So everybody's credit is different. Everybody's finance is different. Your job, what you're making, what you're earning, all of that stuff is different. Now, the first one would be rental arbitrage. This is the most common one that we hear about. This is when you sign a long-term lease, you get the landlord's contractual permission, you list it on Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO, all of these different platforms, and you focus solely on day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month bookings. If your rent is, you know, $1,500 and you rent it out, you make $4,500 in revenue for the month, right? That's $3,000 that you make. That's the difference. That's your profit, right? Of course, there's overhead and things like that that you have to account for, but you get the point, okay? The second one is co-hosting. This is managing other people's listings, whether they, you know, have been doing Airbnb for a long time or just got started, you manage those people's listings, you earn anywhere from 15 to 25, in some instances 30% of the commission, right? That takes zero startup costs. You just have to actually, start with that, generate capital, and then you can go into arbitrage or even ownership. But this is the bridge that most people don't know about. This is a way for you to provide a service, whether it's just co-hosting, which is replying to messages and things like that, which I'll get to in a second. But that's a good way for you to generate capital to then go into arbitrage or even ownership. And then the third one is partnering, right? Partnership. This is where you bring knowledge plus the operation. So you can partner with an owner, partner with somebody who has the property already, the rental already, and they're not generating capital or they're having trouble getting it rented out. Or you can partner with someone who has the capital or the credit, get the funding, and then get rolling in arbitrage just like that. You split the revenue on the agreed terms. So let's say, for example, Lucas has a $2,000 salary a month. He splits the cost with his partner, whether it's his girlfriend, a friend, a business partner, whatever the case is. Now, this is what he did. He was able to go ahead and start with Alex, and now they're generating over $20,000 a month each, okay? Most people try to start this business with just arbitrage, but co-hosting is the fastest path to generating income and some cash flow, okay? This is what you have to do. You have to focus on learning the entire business first. You can do that, and then you can use that income to get your first arbitrage deal or even partnership or whatever the case may be. Now, here's the steps to it. It's very simple. Step one is obviously finding the right market. It's not the right property, it's the right market. There are some properties that can be beautiful and amazing and just be in a bad location or in a bad market, which means it may be saturated, it may be a dying market, it may be overpriced. There's a lot of different things that go into it. Most people do this backwards, right? Property first. It's the wrong way to go about it. We want to find a market that has potential for long-term sustainable growth, okay? So again, choosing location based on where you live is the number one mistake. This is what I see most people do. And they're like, oh, I need to be close to it because I need to do the cleaning and I need to do all this stuff. That is not how you want to operate this business. The goal is to generate capital that you don't have to be physically present for long periods of time. You should not even, like, there's properties that I have that I don't even go to those properties, right? I go to them when I want to take a trip or I want to go and get out of my house and there's a weekend open or whatever the case is. But most times I'm not going over there. They're generating me income. Okay, so choosing a location based on where you live is the number one most common mistake that I see, and it is the dumbest thing that you can possibly do, unless you're in one of those sneaky markets that it's a good opportunity, but most times that's not the case, okay? For example, Chuck is from the Bronx. If he was on his own and he was to do this for himself, he would have never thought about looking at Vermont, right? He had got a property in Vermont near Killington Ski Resort, Calston University, Lake George. This was a great market, right? He would have never found this on his own because most people think naturally, let me look where I already am, not where I have not even been, okay? Now, the market research process is very simple. The first step is finding demand drivers. This means that we're finding things that are driving the economy in those areas. What is bringing money to the area? Not just tourism. Are there any medical centers? Are there any universities, stadiums, any unique landmarks, museums, any historical places, ski resorts, right? Anything like that that may be driving income or economic growth to this market. Those are the things that we want to look for. It doesn't have to be a crazy big thing. It can be a small college. It could be a small university. It could be a surgical center that's pretty famous or good for a certain thing, okay? The second thing we want to do is the Airbnb data check. We want to search Airbnb. We want to search these markets and see what's already there, right? Let's look at what's already operating there, what's already going on there, what types of properties are thriving, which ones are just new, which ones are coming on the market, what does that look like, how much are they charging? Right? We want to gather as much information about those markets, even if there's not a lot to gather. We want to see what's already going on there. And we also want to look and see what the occupancy is looking like, right, year round. We want to look at what the average daily rate is, the ADR, right, the average daily rate. That gives us an idea of what we can generate as far as revenue on a monthly scale, right? This gives us an idea of that. Now, number three is the rent to revenue test. Let's say, for instance, the rent is $1,500. We need to be making anywhere from $4,500 or more for it to be like, okay, this is a good potential opportunity. We want to be at that 1 to 3 minimum, when it comes to how much we want to generate. And then fourth is the regulation check. We want to be able to make sure that we're not going to get crushed with regulations, permits, and all these different, regulations that can potentially put us out of business in the future, okay? And again, it might even stop you from getting an arbitrage deal done. So you want to look at that before you fall in love with a property. And, what I always say too is that we want to get the approval, yes, first, from whether it's for arbitrage or for partnerships, whatever the case. We want to get the yes from the owner first before we even dive deep into looking at all of this information, because we want to do all of this and then they say no. Not really a fan of that, right? Now, if these things check out, if it's all good, the numbers look good, we can move forward. If not, we want to look at another market. Okay, it's either there or it isn't. You cannot try and make something work in a bad market. Your deal might be great too, though. That's the thing. If your deal is great, you know, we can make something potentially work, but we want everything to check out. Okay, now number two, step two, find the landlord. Then we want to pitch them correctly. We want to speak to them in a manner that lets them know this is beneficial for them as well. We don't want them to be like, well, why would I do this? It's only beneficial for you. We want people to feel like, hey, this is also going to be beneficial for me, because I'm going to have somebody here that is renting the property for me consistently, potentially for years to come, right? You're not asking, you know, as a tenant, hey, am I allowed to rent this out on Airbnb? No, that's never what we want to do, right? We're operating from a sense that we want to be a client of theirs for a long time, and that we operate our own business as well. I'll go over this in another video in depth and show you exactly how I do it. I'll even throw in a live call where you can see I get the yes from the owner. And I'll do this live multiple times with multiple properties so you can see exactly how I do it. Okay, the landlord has 3 fears. This is what I've seen in the 5-6 years that I've been doing this. They have the same exact 3 fears. We want to address them before they come up. Okay, the 3 fears are this. Number 1, property damage, which makes sense. You have a lot of in and out, so you fear wear and tear. The reality is you deal with more wear and tear when you have people hunkering down and staying in places for longer, because they get more comfortable. They're not cleaning the property every single day, every single week after, you know, they're not doing that, a deep clean after every single week or whatever the case is. They're not doing that, right? So we focus on, for wear and tear, property damage, we take our own insurance out, right? We have short-term rental insurance. We let them know they're covered up to $5 million. So we take on all liability for anything that has to do, we're taking on the responsibilities, the liability, right? So for anything that has to do with damage, we will cover. We let them know that anything that happens is from a guest perspective. If somebody damages something, we will take care of it financially. Okay. The only thing that they're going to be in charge of is still the same thing: major appliances, things like that. You know, refrigerators, electric, stuff like that. That they would have to be in charge of anyway if we were renting from them as a normal tenant. And number 2 is neighbor complaints, right? We install noise monitors. We have a no party policy. Everybody gets verified before they come into the property. We make sure that these things do not happen. And if we see any signs that align with that of a gathering or a party or something like that, we get in front of it before anything happens, okay? And then financial risk, right? Sometimes we'll offer 10 to 15% above the market only if needed. If they've been sitting on the market for some time and, you know, the property has been empty, they're less likely to worry about that because they just want to get it locked in. What we also let them know is that we're looking to be here long term, potentially 3 to 5 years. We'll do a lease year by year, but our goal is, if this goes well, we want to work with you for years to come. All right, that's 3 to 5 years of consistency for them, and that's not easy to come by in this industry, right? You deal with people who you have to evict, you deal with all types of things when it comes to the finances and things. So just hear me out on that. All right. Now the pitch itself is broken down into 3 steps. The open is, you know, we work with all different types of corporate clients. That can be guests that are just touring the area, that are coming and visiting. That could be insurance relocations. That could be, you know, families that have lost their property. The insurance company is looking to house them. They contact us. We take care of them. We also work with professionals that are working at the local university, at the local hospitals. We house them, right? We work with a lot of different types of clientele, and we rent the property specifically to house those individuals, right? So we're looking for a long-term lease starting at a year, but we want to be able to go up and potentially do 3 to 5 down the line if things go well. Now, what's in it for them, right? Because that's what you should be leading with. We look to be here long-term. This is guaranteed rent, potentially even above market rate, and we manage it in a sense where it's getting cleaned professionally every single day. You know, not every single day, but every time there's a stay and every time somebody checks out, there's going to be a deep clean, right? There should be no void periods. There's no period in time where they're not going to go ahead and get, you know, a full months of rent, regardless if we make money or not. That's where we come in and we make sure that we're on point. And then lastly, if they need to see any company documents, right? They need to see insurance. They need to see a sample of what a lease would look like with us. We show them that. And if they want to do a partnership or co-hosting, we can offer them 6 months at a discounted rate. We can offer them 6 months and say, hey, look, if this doesn't work out, if you're not liking the way things are going, you know, no problem. We'll be able to go ahead and get you out of the contract. No problem. Okay. We'll get you, you know, we'll move on. We'll get out your hair. Okay. That gives you time to show results. Again, Alejandro had bad credit. He got 4 properties in under 2 years. The pitch was the key, not the credit score. How he broke it down to the owner, because the owner doesn't care about credit score if you have the capital and you're giving them a plan that makes sense for both parties. Again, it should not sound like it's only beneficial for you. It should be beneficial for both parties, okay? Now, where can I find landlords? Hotpad, Zillow. This is one of the most common places I look. I look for properties that have been on the market for some time that don't have a lot of context. Not a lot of people reaching out to them, but they've been on the market for 30 days or more, okay? These are more motivated landlords because, again, if these properties aren't rented, guess who's paying for all of the overhead? The owner is, okay? Facebook property groups, Facebook marketplace. These are also good. You can work with a real estate agent as well if they understand the vision. A lot of them don't. So you got to find ones that do, because they're the ones that'll go out and fight for you and find these properties for you and potentially even have access to off-market deals, okay? For rent signs in your target area. If you're driving around your city or you're driving around that place, there's people that are still putting for rent signs in their front yard or on their door. Those are good people to reach out to. Property networking events, landlord meetups, things of that nature, real estate events. Those are really good to go to as well. And then step 3 is funding it without using your own money. What you've been waiting for, and this is what most people don't tell you, this is the truth, okay? The realistic setup cost for most is usually going to be the same as it would if you were moving into your own apartment. Furnish, first month deposit, and then you have to also take into consideration insurance and photography. Let's just say furnishing for a 1 to 2 bedroom should cost anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 a month. Not a month, excuse me, $1,500 to $3,000 up front. Just think on average, to give yourself an estimate, just think about $500 to $1,000 per room, depending on the size of the house, okay, and the size of the rooms. Photography will cost you anywhere from $150 to $300. Short-term rental insurance, $7,500 to $150 max, you know. And then furnishing, like I said, $1,500 to $3,000. Now, 0% APR credit card, business or personal, right? Usually you get these if you have great credit. David and Alejandro are able to do this. They were able to actually get a business card through one of my connections, and they got 18 months, 0% interest. This was able to help them get everything from furnishing to the rent to the deposits, everything taken care of, and they used their card to do that. And then the card was paid off by the bookings, right? Cost them about $5,000 to set up the first unit. And in the first few months, they were able to make a few $1,000s in profit. So they were able to pay off what they used in just a few months. I think both of them were able to pay it off in less than 6 months, right? Now, partner capital. Lucas was able to do this. He brought the idea to his partner, the knowledge, the operations. The partner brought the startup funds. They actually went 50-50 on their first unit, split the revenue, and then they were able to take that money and go ahead and get other properties down the line. Now they're making, you know, one of their highest months so far is over 6 figures in a month in revenue, okay? Co-host first. I've done this myself with multiple properties. Manage one listing for 20% commission. If I'm making, 20%, if I'm making $3,000 a month in revenue, that's $600 a month. 3 months stacked, that's $1,800. If I do, 10 months, that's $6,000. And after a year, I can have my own property up and running. And in that year, I can get my credit right, get funding, stack some money from my job or whatever the case is, right? So keep that in mind. And the last thing is negotiating the deposit away. If we already are doing a longer lease and we have insurance, right, that we're showing is covering everything up to $5 million, we should not need to put a security deposit down for damages, right? Sometimes they're still going to want it for rent purposes, but you can negotiate that away, all right? Remember, David used $0 of his own money. He got his first unit live in 45 days. Ignore the 60. This was 45 days, okay? And he mentioned himself, joining and having guidance cut the learning curve by 80%, right? This only works when the market is showing the right financials first. You never want to use credit on a bad market property. You never want to do that because you put yourself in a position that you might end up in a hole, right? Now, waiting is the most expensive strategy of all time, right? Waiting for the perfect time and things like that. Every month without a unit is a month that you're not compounding any growth in this business, right? You got to think, it's tiny gains. 1% better every day is better than 1% worse every day, right? As you stack these wins and stack your growth, in a year, 2 years, 3 years, you'll be at 10 properties, 15 properties, and you'll be able to have full-time income off of this business model, okay? Now, what happens after you secure your property? Day 1 is simple. Secure the property, sign a lease, right? Week 1, we want to focus on setup, building the listing out, and getting professional photography. This is the furnishing. This is everything. This should only take up to 7 days, all right? This is you getting everything from the digital footprint. That means all the listings, the pictures, the descriptions, the SEO, all of that stuff built out. And now week 2, you should be able to launch. What you can do, here's a little tip, you can actually get this stuff staged with AI. So have it staged, and then in the description, let people know this is not the official staging. The photos will be updated, okay? Now you launch it. You should have your first bookings in with the AI pictures before you even go ahead and have the actual property set up, right? Your first month, your priority should be getting at least every single booking that you have, getting a 5-star review for those. That means I'm responding fast, responding right away, making sure the check-in process is seamless. I want to over deliver because I need those 5-star reviews to push my listing into the top 10% in that area. Okay, that's the good thing about getting in certain markets, is that you don't have to worry too much about a lot of competition when you're in the right market, right? So that top 10% is going to help you a lot. Now, month 2, this is automation. Make sure your smart locks, all that stuff, your message templates, your cleaning system is elite, right? This means that you should not even have to pick up your phone, because everything should be flowing by itself. You should only be getting calls when there's something super serious going on, or you have to pick up the phone and order something, replace something. Other than that, your operation should be automated 95%, okay? Month 3, you should be able to run the units 100%, almost automated, and then be working on taking that capital that you generated and putting it into the unit that's next, right? The second unit. That should be what's next, okay? Keep that in mind. Now, what we want to do for these few people, here's what it looked like, right? Charisma, first year in her first year in this business, had 1 unit. That 1 unit generated about $15,000 in profit, right? She didn't even know she made that much. She said, hey, I need to get 2. I need to get 3. Okay, David knew nothing, $0 out of pocket, got his first listing up and running in 45 days. Says in one of the videos we have, he mentions that we cut the learning curve in about 80%. We damn near did the entire thing for him, right? Showed him as we did it with him. We didn't just tell him what to do, we did it with him. Okay, Lucas, first month, made $2,900 on a $1,600 per month property. Month 36 now, he's had, over $80,000 months. Okay, over 12 units now. He owns none of them, right? Easiest money he's ever made because he has the right system. Not because he doesn't have to do anything, but because the system allows him to operate almost on autopilot. Remember, as Charisma said, you're your biggest enemy, you're your biggest competitor, you're your biggest setback, right? So if you've ever been watching Airbnb content, if you've been watching Airbnb content for 6, 12, 18 months without starting, you're not missing information, you're missing the decision, okay? The gap between knowing and doing, that's the one, and it's on you, okay? They always say, my mentor tells me this all the time, ignorance on fire is more powerful than knowledge on ice. You can know everything in the world, but do nothing with it. The person who's ignorant, but that makes the attempt and tries and is willing to fail forward, will always be more successful than the person that knows everything, but never does anything with the information, okay? David moved. Alejandro moved. Lucas moved. None of them waited for the perfect conditions. They all started in the same exact positions as you watching this, if not worse, right? And if you're ready to make that decision, go ahead and apply in the link in the description. One-on-one free strategy call with me. I'll explain this entire process to you. I'll help you look at your market, your numbers, and potentially what funding options you may have based on your current situation, okay? I'm not going to do this with a lot of people, maybe about 10 people, but we work with people directly, okay? I want you guys to go ahead and take advantage of that. Click the link in the description and book that call. And like I said, I'll help you with mapping out your market, numbers, and everything else to help you get rolling, all right? Here's a few results here so you can see just what's possible, right? Just a few nights, right? A few bookings here from different people, right? Credit scores, we help people get their credit scores right so they can get funding options. Here's a few, numbers here. 785 nights booked, over 185,000 in a year in revenue. Another 6 figures here. All right, look at this, 3 nights, 1894 of that after fees. They're making about $1,400 in 3 nights, right? New spot with Lucas here. 2146 is the total for 5 nights. I mean, they're making damn near the entire, their overhead in a few nights, right? First property, first bookings, right? Over 4,000, about to be $4,000 for I'm not sure who this was, but you guys get the point, right? All of the reservations here, earnings here in a month, $13,000 in a month, right? Over $1 million. I mean, this is a month right here in 2025, $48,000, 83% occupancy, $11,000 in a month. I mean, it's the strategies work. This industry works, and this is just Airbnb. This isn't including insurance relocations. This isn't including other lanes that we've been in that help people, get bookings, right? I mean, 1.2 million in about 2 years. Look at the size of the bookings here. Like, this stuff is real. This stuff works. It's just a matter of putting yourself in position in the right markets to go ahead and capitalize off of this industry. So again, guys, if you are looking to get into this industry, looking to master this, but most importantly, put yourself in position that you are long-term going to see results, click the link in the description. We have access to a free training there You'll have access to the one-on-one consultation, free audit. We'll look at, options for you. And then you have the community as well, where you can pretty much get access to live calls, live trainings, live breakdowns, and a lot of other information as well, for less than $2 a day, okay? So you can click that. We'll see you on the other side. If you got value from this video, send a like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions. And like I said, we'll see you guys at the top. The bottom's way too crowded, and I'm looking forward to help you guys get to the next level in this space. We're gonna have another video with live calls and live breakdowns of what exactly we do to pitch landlords, so you can show you guys exactly how you can do the same without having to hire someone to do it for you. We'll show you how to do it exactly step by step on your own. See you in the next one.